Our next speaker is going to talk about community automations. Please make her feel very, very welcome and put your hands together for Reka! Yeah?
Oh, hi everyone. Oh, wonderful. It looks great. I thought it's going to be, I've heard the colors are a little different, but it looks great. Thank you. So nice to meet you, everyone. We're going to talk about a little bit in a story first. Have you ever visited a new friend in a new city where you only know them? And luckily, they're a great friend, and they invited you to a little get-together at their house. You go there, you're a little nervous, like you don't know anyone else. It's kind of crazy. But then you go through the door, and you have this assumption, and it is actually true, that every person you meet there, you not only have this one friend in common, but the things that they shared about you before as well. So you can assume you have more points to touch on. So it's much easier to make friends that way, right? I hope you experienced this, because it's wonderful if you have friends like that. I definitely did. And having these multiple points of connection makes actually building relationships much easier. And so we'll talk more. By the way, I'm Reka, co-founder of Guild XYZ. It's a access automation and role management infrastructure and tool. And I'll talk a little bit more community automations and how we can make relationship building and growing communities a little bit more scalable. So what I just said with the little party example, how can we grow communities in a way that we can still retain this commonality feeling, that we have something in common, that you're not a stranger in danger in this group that you just entered into? Growing communities this way requires a lot of care, attention, understanding of the space, the people who are there, super careful curation, and maintaining of the balance of knowing when to add more rules and structures and when to let things go and kind of grow with the flow as they should. And based on this, what are the ways we can automate community functions without harming the human element of it? Because it involves tremendous manual tasks. All the things that are listed above are fully manual right now. It's fully based on a person and their opinion and their subjective way of looking at the world. So how can we scale this a little bit more? How can we grow communities without sacrificing or harming the necessary human elements of it? Here comes roles. That's the role of roles that I want to talk about. And in a way that we establish a very purposeful set of structured roles, we can automate onboarding, education, campaigns for marketing, targeting different members in the community with messages, loyalty, and even retention. So as you can see, it's kind of like the whole vertical of what a community goes through over its life cycle, from like getting to know it all the way to like being a retained member over time. And these are all through, or can be done all through, some form of access to roles. There's this nice saying that I've heard recently, which is dictatorship at the door and democracy on the dance floor. And I thought that was really cute and very fitting here. It's essentially the notion that there's a very heavy curation system set up at the access point, and then letting things and people mingle much more when they're inside. So letting freedom flow and relationships blossom when they're actually inside and they made it through the access point. The importance of having roles here, though, is that there isn't just one dance floor or space, but there's multiple. And they're based on status, interest, context, even assets that they hold, contribution levels, and their involvement with the community in general. So when you enter even a Discord, there's so many groups and chat forms. So these are the metaphor for the dance floor rooms. And having these rooms to be as overlapping or as segregated as it needs to be, it's going to be very different in every community based on what their goals and missions are, and of course their purpose. And another little nugget here is that the most successful conversationalists, they always say there's two things you need to assume with entering any form of social interactions. One is that the person knows something that you don't, and you can learn that from them. And the other thing is you definitely have something in common. And this way, there's a much bigger potential of having an actual successful and enjoyable conversation and build a relationship with them. And so with automations and this technology that we're talking about, we can make at least this feeling of commonality much more hands-on and assumed and contextual so that relationship building can be much more intentional. And Guild can help a lot with that. We can take off a lot of that manual load that I just described in the beginning. It works with the Guild model of requirements, roles, and rewards. And lucky for us, requirements can be made from all the data that we leave behind on the internet. I don't know if you guys saw the Threads launch on Thursday, the new app from Instagram to combat Twitter. But all the data that we leave behind intentionally or unintentionally, on-chain or off-chain, can be used as requirements to set up role structures that are basically your position, your status, your journey, your timely marker within the dimension of the community, and then can earn you rewards as in terms of participating in conversation, meeting new people, claiming actual rewards, collectibles, and such. Yes, let's move forward. So going back to here, all the things, these are just a few examples that I picked because these are very, very tangible. I'm going to explain 3 of them: onboarding, targeting, and loyalty, through communities that are actually using Guild and how they do that, and kind of very relatable. So first, onboarding. So onboarding is, to not be used jargon that much, it's the process of when a new member or an existing community member discovers more of the community, their value systems, their culture, their vibe, and decides if they're aligned with that and they want to continue further. That's kind of the process of onboarding. And there's 2 main challenges: to channel members towards high-value initiatives that the community, higher purpose, like, I don't know, whatever the purpose of the community is. For us, it's mostly around the product. For other people, it's fully around hosting events and stuff like that. They can decide on their own. And the second is to form subgroups that are very contextual, based on interest, so that people can find their own people and have fun. And to do these things at the same time is extremely challenging, and I don't think anyone has it right in the space in crypto as of now, as much as I'm diving into communities. But this is a screenshot from Developer DAO's Guild. And what they did, though, as a solution, is they created this OG role for people who hold their token and the Genesis NFT for over 2 years. So people who have been around, they know what Developer DAO is about. They know what's up. And then they also created the 2 newbie role for people who hold some of their token and their new NFT as well. So this way, they created a sorting system where new members and existing members get a different view of their Discord server, because these rewards are Discord server roles. They get a different view of the community instantly, right as they get through the door. It's extremely valuable. It narrowed down their onboarding hurdle and the pain that the newcomers felt by getting overwhelmed with all the channels that they would have seen. This way, they only see a few that is relevant to them, that helps them educate themselves and get better at knowing the community. Targeting. This is the example of Pull Together. They're also a very sweet community. So their challenge with targeting was they really wanted to find a subgroup within the community that helps them give feedback about the new initiative that they're doing. And to find them, there's obviously thousands of people in this server and the members. It's almost impossible. You obviously will know a few hundred by name and know what they're about, but to automate this is extremely valuable. And also a little bit info about targeting. It's kind of the process of identifying members based on their subjective interests, some activity level that they have, or for some specific initiative that they might be interested in. And so what they did is they decided, OK, great, for this initiative, we just want to find the most active members that have been around, that are coming to our events. So they set up a role for the alpha leak of their new initiative, and they asked people to hold POAPs from the last 6 months of community events, one of those POAPs or multiple of them. Hold a Git POAP, which is a POAP that you can get for contributing to the protocol on GitHub, and an NFT that the co-founder of this project made. So people who have been around know these tasks. And this way they could identify, the solution slide, So they set up these roles, set up this role for them, and this way they could identify this special couple hundred segment within their thousands of people community that are highly active, and they could activate them and give access to this. Oh, you guys can't see, but it's a Google document. I don't know, can you see from the light? It's a Google document where they shared everything about the new initiative, how it's going to look like, what it's going to go like, and they also granted them access to a new channel in the server with a Discord role, so they can actually talk about it. And this way, they had hundreds of people to give them feedback and get started with the new initiative right off the bat. It's extremely valuable. Third little thing, loyalty. Loyalty is kind of the indication that a member is willing to continue to contribute, participate. And that's what we actually really want to see. That's what gives longevity to a community, to a project. That's the big value add. I said this yesterday in a little interview outside, that the three main things that community gives Web3 is sustainability, legitimacy, and distribution. And loyalty is all three. And we really want this. Everyone wants this. This is great. People actually liking what you're doing and sticking around. Wonderful. That's what we want. And so Uniswap, in their guild, decided that they really want to focus on loyalty. They highly value this in their members, and obviously it's a very well-doing protocol. So what they did as a great learning curve for us is they set up 4 different roles. There's actually more, but these fit on the screen. 4 roles for people who technically are great supporters and understand the protocol well, and they provide liquidity in their new version 3 of the protocol. And have an NFT for that to show. And they get a new Discord role for this position so that the members of the team can directly talk to them and incentivize them even more, get them even more involved, reward them for their activities. This is a very high value input that they provide for the team. This is great. They have to be rewarded. And the other 2 in the middle, they're active users of the exchange, and they also have this NFT for that for show. I think this is another project called Nukes that gives out these rewards for on-chain activities. You can claim another NFT that you completed a bunch of on-chain tasks. So they can identify different levels of activities of people using their exchange. That's your users. So we have people who contribute to the success of the protocol. We have the users. And we also have the Unisocks holders who, I don't know if you've known, it's quite a few years old now. There was a marketing campaign for Uniswap that they created these NFTs of Unisocks, and if you burned them, you got actual socks. And at some point, they were worth thousands of dollars for a pair of socks if you burnt your NFT. But those 6 people here that still have the role, they kept it. They didn't care about the few $1,000s. They kept the NFT. That's loyalty. That's crazy. For years. So knowing who these people are, having direct open communication with them is, I can't emphasize how valuable that is for Uniswap, for all of us, even in our smaller chat groups. And I was really fast, which is great. We'll have time for questions if you have any. But I kind of want to close this. Imagine all this tech. This is just one tool. This is just our product. And there's a bunch of others that we have integrated that they're doing different things of giving badges to people. If we use this technology well, imagine all the automated personalization that we can do in our communities, because the space isn't as mature as right now. Most of community efforts are still used for marketing purposes, and I can't wait till we mature away from that. I love marketing. I'm a CMO. I love it, but still, all these personalizations, when it goes to the next level that we can provide deeper, more valuable experiences to each other, and that facilitates better relationships, I just can't wait for that, and these are great start for that. So yeah, automation is sexy. It helps the team stay focused on what's actually important, curating members, creating a good atmosphere, staying on track with their goals, instead of completing manual tasks of filtering people, talking with them, and constantly resetting all the requirement systems, because this will go on forever until they decide to change their goals. So it takes off a lot of heavy lifting. And yeah, thanks for your attention. That was it. Little nuggets at the end. If you have any questions, more than happy to answer now. I'm also around for hours today, so thanks for listening. We have like 5 minutes. It's great. I've never been this compact and fast.
Yeah, the question, it was too long for me to write it in the... have you thought about kind of like adding a soul-bound dynamic NFT into your product so DAO members can create quests or tasks for their members, and your tool, your product, measure those tasks and quests, and kind of like the dynamic NFT evolve, giving that member more tokens, responsibilities, and a better kind of like level in the DAO?
It's a very technical question, I think, and I've been in love with dynamic NFTs for so long, and I wish someone else did it, because it was on our roadmap for years, and it was, always just a nice to have. It's a wonderful idea. Right now, we have only one thing on chain so far, which we launched like a month ago. We've been around for almost 2 years, but we have our first ever on-chain thing that launched around a month ago, and it's a proof of join soulbound NFT. So it's a very static thing. Similarly to a POAP, you get this for joining a community. If you have at least one of those roles, you get this. That's it. And what we really want to move towards next is the roles themselves, because they are the actual abstraction layer of the community that you can use in any other product. And so far, you could use this through our SDK as well, when other projects integrated that for all these access stuff. But soulbound NFTs as the roles, interoperability to the max, like that would be wonderful. And I think the only option for that to actually work well is through dynamic NFTs, because what differentiates us from many other projects that give rewards for some activities is that we have the roles, and we constantly keep tracking the access. If you actually still hold the NFT, if you haven't sold your tokens, if you still follow me on Twitter, those are all being tracked all the time. And the soulbound is great, but the dynamic comes in handy to be able to, imagine you follow me on Twitter, you buy 1,000 of Reka tokens, and I give you the soulbound NFT, and then you instantly sell, but you still have it. So to be able to change that while you still have the NFT, but change the attributes to it, or the look of it, or anything that still can be used as then a requirement to check if you not only have the NFT but qualify, is extremely valuable. So yeah, that's actually a good way to go.
Oh, and have a look to Summon, Game 7.
Sorry?
Game 7 is a DAO, created a product called Summon. Okay, I can send you some more information later. And they built a very similar product, for DAOs to engage their members through soulbound NFTs, dynamic soulbound NFT. It's very interesting tool. I can give you more information later.
Sure, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, there's one in the back.
Hey, thanks for the talk. Really like the science that you're bringing to the community. So the question I have is, what's the business case behind it? So I mean, like, it's common sense that you really need to take care of the community, right? But like, what's the uplift that you can get based on your clients or whatever? So is there any material effect from doing it in this way? Just curious.
So for the clients or for us?
For clients, of course.
Many. So just disregarding the value of knowing who these people, knowing who your audience is, who your biggest supporters are, who have been around, just the value of targeting those people who you know what else they have in their wallet, what other communities they're part of, they're actually lucrative, they're interested, they've been around, they are supporters of yours. That in itself. And then it's of course different in every community depending on what their financial structures are, what their business goals are. But activating these different layers of the community and different identities and personas is extremely valuable. But right now, I think most communities still use this, other than identification and the targeting and everything. They have their own NFT structures usually, or they're already tokenized and have launched their token. And this is more of doubling down on the actual active members in their community and activating them. So that's a pretty good mechanism to make money for them. Thank you for the question. Sure, we have 40 seconds. So thanks everyone. Thank you so much for the questions and being here. Reach me out to Twitter.